might have to adjust the sound settings further, but we'll try where they are for now. I'm also very glad that I muted the audio before or for stream when I started up, because the game was incredibly loud on startup. You're gonna try basically highest settings and see how that works. You know what? I feel like a lot of times I'm not a fan of film grain for that like old school cinematic quality, but I feel like it kind of suits Warhammer 40k in particular. I need to change my uh, stream title and category. Oops. Meow, meow. Uh,
Hello, hello.
meowing.
Oh my god, you are loud. Let me adjust that. Or maybe that's just you being loud.
What was that?
I said, oh my god, you're loud. Let me adjust that. Or maybe it's just you being loud.
Meow.
Did you hear me?
I don't know.
Are you having trouble hearing me?
No, I'm not having trouble hearing you. I mean, I was at first. I had to turn you up a little, but meow. I'm having trouble talking. That's what. That.
Stop and speak.
I don't know how to speak.
Obviously. I did not have it installed. It's going to take me about 18 minutes, it says, to download and install it.
Okay. One moment. Oh, we're right back.
Sure.
Okay, I'm back. I think I don't know what just happened.
Okay.
You ever get a phone call that is probably just a matter of being a wrong number, but it's confusing as hell?
Well, how is it confusing?
I don't know what the fuck they were talking about.
What were they saying?
Words.
Was it English?
Yes. Well,
okay.
like it was like
you could probably recognize the words.
I'm pretty sure they were like saying like the name of some kind of service or something, but I'm not sure what it was, and and then they wanted me to press 1, and I'm just like,
No.
what? I said, I'm sorry, what? And then they said, bye, and hung up.
Yeah, that was a probably automated thing.
Well, the bye kind of sounded like if you startle someone and they're like, oh shit, bye, and run away.
So you're looking at the options in Rogue Trader.
Yes. What's the point of the combat speed settings? I guess so you can press a button to just speed up the animation.
Yeah, hold on a second. Mouse over where the combat speed settings itself. There. Oh, hold on. Back up. There. Just combat speed settings. They can always on, off, or apply on demand. Yeah, it's animation.
Okay.
I mean, your character is kind of in the way of the words, so I'm having a hard time seeing the actual options.
Yeah. I can fix that. There we go.
I'm not sure there's anywhere you can have it go on the screen where it's not going to be in the way of something, because now it's going to be in the way of like the specifics and the chat log. And
only
stuff.
if there's a lot of description on the right for something.
All right.
So, question regarding us playing this co-op.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna be up for doing so every Sunday?
Yes. So I generally spend time with family. I normally get back from that about 2 hours ago, and I don't have anything specifically planned on Sunday evenings.
Okay, just making sure because this is part of my Sci-Fi Sundays stream.
Yep. And besides my understanding of how co-op works in Rogue Trader, So, like all Owlcat games, the main character is your character that you build. Even if you take a pre-built one, it's still your character. Um, every other character in the game.
Sorry,
Are you
my
having trouble
mic
hearing
was
me?
being weird. No, it wasn't you. It was, my mic wasn't unmuting when I tried to unmute it.
Okay. And every other character in the game is a companion you'll meet along the way. Co-op allows somebody to take control of some of those companions. As far as I'm aware, the host is always going to be the main character, which is called Lord Captain or Lord Commander or something like that.
Okay.
So if I'm not there for whatever reason, the characters just default to your control. It's always a shared inventory and all that.
Hmm.
It's just this allows me to control them in combat, allows me to level them up.
So you'll be controlling one of the already existing companions, not making an additional custom character?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, anyone who plays co-op will not be making an additional custom character.
So kind of like if we did Baldur's Gate 3 and you chose an origin character for your character.
Correct. There's some good differences and some bad differences compared to like Baldur's Gate 3. So in this, like in most Owlcat games, like let's say you go into a conversation, uh, all of your character's skills will be something you can use. So, for example, let's say your main character is bad at conversation, but you speak to somebody with your main character, they will do skill rolls based off of whatever the best of that skill is in your party.
Mm.
On doing co-op, they do split that, but having 6 characters should be fine. 3
Okay.
and 3 should be enough to cover things. There was some good stuff about co-op, but I forget what specifically it was.
Do you have all the DLC stuff?
No, I do not, and that's a problem because I would need it. But I can get it. I was wanting to get it, so I guess this is a good enough reason as any to get it.
Yes. I'll peer pressure you into getting it.
You should get it for me, considering as I paid for that one game of yours. I'm kidding.
Honestly, if I had the money at the moment, I would. Because I am still planning to pay you back for that. Things are just uncertain at the moment.
I'm not seriously worried about that. Don't worry.
I know. I know. And I appreciate that because you are a very good friend. But that's also another reason why I definitely want to pay you back because you are a good friend. Why is my hot pockets are being annoying?
So what is it you have? You have the Season Pass, Deluxe Pass, Voidfarer, and Void Shadows?
Yeah, which Void Shadows is because Season Pass is why I have Void Shadows.
Okay. So
Because Season Pass is you get the DLC expansion stuff as they come out automatically. But so I actually managed to get it a little cheaper because there was the sale going on where they were everything was 45% off. But there's also the bundle, Rogue Trader and Wrath of the Righteous, which has a further discount. But I already have Wrath of the Righteous, so I don't have to pay for Wrath of the Righteous in the bundle, but I could still buy the bundle. So I bought that for like $3 less, and then bought all the DLC related stuff on the 45% off sale as well, separately. Yeah, I originally was going to wait until I finished Mirror's Edge Catalyst to start playing this, but I can only do very small sessions of Mirror's Edge anyway.
Yeah, I didn't think Mirror's Edge Catalyst would have been a great pick for you, but
What sucks is it's a lot of fun. It just, if I go more than a couple hours, I might throw up. I mean, it does vary a little bit with each session, like exactly what I'm doing and such, but I've also been a lot more careful after doing a 9-hour session of the first game, because that was a huge mistake.
okay. So while my game is downloading, it says it's got another 6 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes and 30 seconds or so. There's sort of a morality system, but it's not good/evil. It's a 3 different pointed thing. Essentially, do you want to toe the line and go full support for the Empire and the Imperium of Man? Do you want to be a good person in the Emperor of Man, which is still technically a bad person, but
Yeah.
like, are you willing to save people rather than go, oh, Xeno's heresy, and just shoot somebody in the face? Or do you want to go just straight up heresy? You can.
I mean, you know me. What do you think I'm going to
You.
choose?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. Can I get
If
Bunny Girl Space Marines?
no.
Then I have no interest in the Empire.
Can't get Bunny Girl Slaneshi Chaos Marines either.
No, but it's easier to pretend.
I would argue that a little bit, but not by much. So, do you know what a rogue trader is?
uh, Basically an independent merchant.
Yeah, not just an independent merchant, but like an independent merchant lord over an entire like solar system or multiple solar systems.
Yeah.
You're you're a capitalist in the Imperium of Man. You're kinda uh towing the line as far as the laws of the Imperium,
Like
but you
being
are
head of
definitely
the East India Trading Company or some such.
yeah, you're definitely out on the fringe, and so what laws actually are and mean is kind of a up to you thing, somewhat. Um, and you're supposed to bring not only profit to yourself, but civilization to the frontier. It's like the East India Trading Company was knighted and made like Lord of Indonesia or something.
Mm. Yeah, uh, I've actually been learning quite a few things about Warhammer 40k lore.
You are muted.
Yeah, I muted for a moment. Because I was
Okay.
joking.
Well, the funny thing is, I'm going off of your stream, and
Mhm.
so it's a little bit lagged behind. So you stopped talking, but your character's mouth just kept moving, like you were still talking. I'm like, wait, did she mute herself? She's
Oh,
still
that
talking? Did you know?
some of that's just I'm eating and chewing.
Oh, that's fair. I do appreciate you muting for that.
And are you familiar with Hot Ones, the YouTube thing?
Yes. Yes.
I have Hot Ones Los Calientes Rojos pepperoni pizza hot pockets.
That's a lot of words for hot pocket.
Yeah, it's one of their hottest sauces. Although this for the hot pockets, the Hot Ones hot pockets, this is only rated a 5 out of 10. they have a hotter version, but it can only be gotten online, not at stores. And I really want to try it. They also had Pringles with the same sauce used in it. And they were actually hot enough to give me pause. Not a lot of pause, but some.
4 pause? I have so many pickles built up on your stream, and I don't use them.
So many what?
Pickles.
Oh, yeah, I need to actually make that into something at some point. But I haven't quite figured out what yet. But when I do, there's some people that are gonna probably like redeem everything all at once. I actually need to start the game in single player mode.
Okay.
And create a character. And then after the introductory video, choose cooperative mode in the settings.
Go ahead and do that. I have reinstalled the base game, but now I've got to install the DLC, which is going to take another minute or two more. So.
Oh, I'm going into character creation, so you'll have plenty of time.
Yeah, I'll go make myself a sandwich, take a nap. Pick up the mantle of a rogue trader, the scion of an ancient dynasty of pink hair. I will say that Alcat really does love their like nitty gritty character builds. So much like previous games, it's something that we should probably stay on normal difficulty if we're not going to like min-max the fuck out of it.
I'm thinking daring rather than normal. Because technically speaking, normal, looking at the information here, normal is essentially more of a easy setting than what would typically be the normal setting.
Okay, so when it says, okay, click normal real quick.
Because it's designed for players unfamiliar with the base game systems or those who play tactical games and CRPGs infrequently. The stats and modifiers of enemies in the game environment are slightly reduced.
Slightly reduced. That's slightly, not majorly. Also, you are not familiar with this game's space systems.
Not with this game's system specifically, but I am very familiar with CRPGs.
But in Daring it says...
Daring difficulty level demands that players possess a solid grasp of the base game systems or extensive experience in analogous tactical games or CRPGs. The stats and modifiers of enemies in the game environment are balanced. So this is actually the normal stats for things. This is a slightly easier version for people new to these kinds of games.
Okay, let's look at daring and then slowly scroll through all those options. Uh, I've gotten maybe about a third halfway through the game, so I'm reading this and I vaguely know what all this means. Let's see here. I mean, as long as you're okay with the idea of we may have to lose and then restart.
That's fine. I'm playing like, I don't tend to do this as much with. Well, it tends to be more dependent on the CRPG as to whether or not I bump the difficulty up like this high, kind of thing. But like, consider my first playthroughs of Dragon Age Inquisition and Dragon Age Veilguard were on the highest difficulty, Nightmare.
Inquisition is baby mode.
Early Inquisition, not so much, especially when you're a two-handed weapon warrior. And especially before you learn that friendly fire applies to the weapon.
Yeah, okay, so
I kept smashing Cassandra into the ground, and not in the fun way. But like, to compare daring and normal, like, normal has a small reduction in enemy unit damage or dodge modifier, small increase in party momentum gain modifier, has some like for example here, your damage can't be reduced below 2 after reduction from armor and deflection.
Yep.
Max duration of hard crowd control effects on party is 2. Like, this is definitely like, essentially there's nightmare, hard, normal, easy, story. For the difficulties, they're just nice and call the easy mode normal.
That's probably true, but
and it's something they did in Wrath of the Righteous and Kingmaker as well. And it was easier, like, it was technically, it was easier to just glancing at this information know that was the case, because it's the information here was kind of like the information in the old Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 games, where when you look at, there was core, which was nothing has changed from the basic core mechanics of D&D, other than, the transition to the computer game version of it.
Here's part
and
of
then the difficulty settings adjusted stuff from there. And in the previous, the two Pathfinder games, they're like that, except they're normal difficulty. They have normal and core as two separate difficulties, whereas the old Baldur's Gate games, core was considered the normal.
Here's the problem that I will just say. I don't really want to get in target with this because this is just going on.
I wasn't saying, I'm not arguing, I was just discussing.
Right. I know, I'm just saying, core difficulty is harder than a normal game experience, and I will say this as far as why, is because there is a GM behind the screen who wants to make sure everyone's having fun. They will make things harder if it's too easy. Well, they'll make things easier if it's too hard. If you just stick strictly to the letter of the law as far as the rules, it is a one-size-fits-all, and that can mean it can be harder than intended sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and that's why I think having this and even calling it normal and not easy is good. Because you're 100% right. With that. But my preference is to go with this. And I don't necessarily, like, I might want to do a playthrough on one of these higher difficulties at some point. But for Alcat's style of CRPGs, my preference tends to be essentially the core difficulty.
People have to love min-maxing in order to actually play higher level Alcat difficulties. That's just the way it is.
And whereas, like, in CRPGs like Dragon Age, there is a degree of that, but because like there's a different quality to those games where it comes out a bit different. Though never play Nightmare in Giant Age 2. Like, don't
Um,
even bother increasing difficulty in Giant Age 2 because they flubbed it horribly.
yeah. Can I interrupt you? Can you
Yeah.
back out, go to
Uh,
co-op, tell me the version number?
I want to see what this Grim Darkness thing is first, just curiosity.
I think it's
Okay, Grim
Iron Man.
Darkness is Iron Man.
Yeah.
And yeah. Uh, uh, I'm guessing it's this over here that you're looking for.
Yeah, I can't. You're sort of in the way. Is it?
I
There
moved.
we go.
It'll just take a moment.
132.13.001. Yep, that's my version, and I have
Right.
all the DLC. So just want to make sure I'm good. Go make your character
Yes.
and do the intro video and save when you can. Now, since I can only take control over characters that have been added in, until you get characters, there's nothing really I can do anyway.
Okay. Well, choosing a different portrait affect the.
Nope.
Yeah, it actually does.
Well,
It
a
does
little
it
bit.
does like well I mean like it does a initial appearance based on the portrait that you obviously be able to modify then, but uh,
I thought it didn't. It actually does. Uh,
that hair.
Welcome to 40k.
Okay, I honestly couldn't tell if this was a guy or a girl. Um, and had to click on it to find out. Because from the portrait I couldn't tell.
If the chest is ambiguous enough, there's no one stopping you from either way. If you want to go back to the default, go back to the portrait select thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I can mouse over the portrait to look at the full picture again, uh, without having to actually just go back to portraits.
Mm-hmm.
butt hair. That's what it makes me think of, is a butt.
Doesn't that one grandmother who runs the robotics company in that one cartoon have hair like that?
There is a cartoon that had a woman with hair like that. I'm not sure. I don't remember a robotics company thing specifically, and I'm not sure what can't remember what cartoon.
The one with Bender and Fry and
Oh yeah,
Professor Farnsworth.
Futurama.
Yeah, Futurama. Yeah,
Yes,
there was
yes,
like
there
a
is.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I find it weird I can remember the characters' names but not the show's name. If I had realized you need to do this first, which I should have, this could have been doing that a while ago. Saw your mouse go right to those tints going, is this pink? No, it's not pink.
It's close enough.
I think based on the way the portrait you picked and the hair you're going for, and knowing how you can play this game, I know exactly for what sort of character we're in for. So yeah, sure, go for it. Fucking whatever you want.
I find it kind of funny that the little beauty mark mole thing is a tattoo. Kind of wish it would stop zooming back out every time I select a new one. Wow.
Because a lot of these portraits are like arms and abs and stuff like that, so they want people to be able to fully see it. But your old lady eyes are not as good as they used to be, so you need to get closer. Go, hey, what's that?
I, I don't know what you're talking about. My eyes have literally improved.
Mm-hmm.
No, literally, because you remember there was a time when I wore glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I have 20/20 vision. My eyesight legitimately improved. I'm confused.
That's turning them on or off. You can have up to 5 on at the same time.
Oh, okay. Now I understand.
It's just
That
some of them are
was
in the no tattoo slot.
that was very confusing.
It's 40k. We can stack tattoos in this bitch.
Took 40,000 years, but we learned how to stack tattoos.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't do this in the 39th millennium. Archaeotech. have any control over ad breaks, or are they just whenever Twitch decides?
Uh, yes and no. I have it set to every X amount of time.
Okay.
Um, otherwise, because I could technically set it where I manually start ad breaks.
But then you just forget and never
Yeah.
get to it.
So I've got it set to an amount of time that trying to be unobtrusive while still uh being beneficial to me, because
Mhm.
uh that's primarily where I uh make money currently.
Another clean strike. The higher will has guided us to triumph.
Challenges make the spoils that much sweeter. Keep your wits about you.
Let chaos paint the stars red. Your existence is naught but ashes. Ruinous favor prevails. Blood and mayhem shall be our anthem. Through chaos I stride. Step by step I lead. Applaud my brilliance. Gaze upon the powers of the veil. Lads! The battleground beckons. Behold the wrath of madness!
Wait, why is there no daring female?
I don't know.
Send their souls to the void. Empyrean, take this sacrifice. Rend the flesh, shatter the spirit. Behold as I slay them in my devotion. Ruinous favor prevails. Empyrean, take this sacrifice.
I'm kind of torn between the heretic female and the mad female. Her voice.
Let the bodies pile!
Oh, Daring
Clothes
Male
not available yet.
Let's see here. Daring Male is a specific voice actor, and the reason why there's only a male is because he's a male and there's only him.
Now that's interesting. Perfect. My supremacy is proven once again. Didn't see that one coming.
Sounds kind of familiar.
Co-Carnage.
Done and done.
Madness.
Who?
Note in discordant melody.
I couldn't hear you because of the
Co-Carnage.
Co-Carnage. I don't recognize the name specifically.
Step by step I lead. Send their souls to the void. Let chaos gaze upon the powers of the veil.
Question, are you going to be a psyker or not?
I don't know.
Okay.
So I might come back and change voice depending on that. Because it does seem like Mad Female is probably more psyker.
Rend the flesh, shatter the spirit. Your existence.
I think I might go with
is
Heretic
naught
Female
but
actually.
ashes.
For the voice. But, although Mad Female would probably fit better with if I end up going in a direction that's not necessarily explicitly heretic.
Macro cannons, open fire. All hands, prepare for acceleration. I have a nose for profit and a taste for adventure. I always keep my options open. I always get the job done.
Actually, Pragmatic Female might be a good one.
Time to reap the spoils.
I think Pragmatic's probably the best.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pragmatic Female. I'm known for my pragmatism.
Obviously.
Homeworld. Let's see. Death World. On Death World, the plants, beasts, and sometimes even the environment itself take aggressive and destructive forms inimical to human life. Whilst exceptionally difficult to colonize, many Death Worlds possess valuable resources that require an outpost or other human presence upon the planet's surface to harvest. These these harsh environments result in some of the hardiest and most resilient populations in the galaxy. Those tested and found wanting die young. Survival instinct. Once per combat, when the wounds of a Death World character drop below 30%, they gain plus 20% of their maximum wounds as temporary wounds. Death World characters also gain a plus 20% bonus to dodge and armor while they have at least one temporary wound from any source. Also, apparently, plus 5 strength, toughness, and agility, minus 5 intelligence and fellowship. The strength affects damage a character inflicts with melee weapons, allows them to lift heavier objects. For each point of strength bonus, character deal plus 5% more damage with one-handed melee weapons and plus 10% more damage with two-handed melee weapons. Also affects the athletics skill. Toughness. How easily characters can shrug off pain, as well as how easily they can resist toxins, poisonous environments, diseases, and other physical ailments. Increases the chance of resisting negative physical effects and the amount of a character's wounds. For each point of a toughness bonus, characters gain plus 10% wounds. Also affects the Crow's skill. Represents the ability to resist negative effects applied by some poisons, stimulators, and alcohol. May give access to new dialogue options. Fellowship. Fellowship represents the character's ability to interact with other creatures to deceive, charm, or befriend. High Fellowship will help a character find a way to approach a gathering of unsociable servants or to effortlessly make deals with treacherous merchants. Intelligence affects non-burst ranged area attacks. Well as lore, logic, Medicaid, and tech use.
By the way, when you see something say, oh, your toughness bonus score or whatever that is,
Yeah.
I'll wait till you mouse over it so I can read it.
For each point of a toughness bonus, characters gain plus 10% wounds.
Yeah, so there's a difference between your toughness and your toughness bonus. So it's not like okay, it's close to, but not exactly the same as in D&D, where like a 12 is a +1 and a 14 is a +2. Your bonus is essentially the tens digit of your stat. So a 42 in toughness, because the stats are 0 to 100, a 42 is a +4. A 49 is also a +4.
Okay.
So if you have like +5 to something, consider that as essentially it's the same thing as +1 to an ability score in D&D. It only makes a difference if you're already halfway to the next.
Okay.
One. But when it says like straight up things like strength score or a athletic skill, that is simply just that 1 to 100, whatever.
Voidborn. Voidborn are humans birthed in the belly of a void vessel or aboard an ancient orbital satellite. Those who have lived their lives on void ships become inured to some extent due to the reality-altering process of warp travel and to living in low or zero-gravity environments. In many cases, their features are drawn and their skin pallid. They may even have minor deformities or a strangeness to their speech, gait, or general appearance that sets them apart from others. Belters.
It's like belters
it pretty
on
much,
crack.
yeah, it just pretty much just described belters. Just it's Warhammer 40k, so it's a much larger scale.
Yeah,
and a little bit more weirdness.
Something I noticed about the Voidborn in 40k, like it's a thing where they will be born, live, and die in the engine room or in the engineering quarters of a ship. Like they will have clans for the sensors, like the sensor.
The ships
clan.
are basically cities, or even practically nations. Like obviously on a not independent nations necessarily. But like imperial ships are basically like cities or states within the empire that just exist in space.
They're born into their clan, they are taught how to do their clan's duty, and they will die at their post. Probably to avoid horror just morphing through the ship.
Fortune. A Voidborn character can reroll any failed attack, dodge, parry, characteristic, or skill test with a 20% chance of success. This chance cannot be greater than the base success chance of the roll. Additionally, any enemy roll, dodge, or parry against a Voidborn character has a 20% chance to fail after a successful roll.
So it's essentially just a 20% chance of things going in your favor on top of everything else.
High willpower allows the character to exert control over a crowd or interrogate a heretic. Also increases the chance of resisting negative mental effects and psychic powers.
By the way, those talents at the bottom aren't things that you just straight up get. It's things you can choose for a talent during level up.
Yeah.
As opposed to other stuff.
Hive World. A hive world's population is so dense that great swaths of the surface of the world are frequently covered in gargantuan cities, bejeweled with towering spires that pierce the atmosphere. Hive worlds are vital to the welfare of the Imperium and are the beating heart of its economy and war machine. They produce munitions for the Emperor's armies in vast manufactories, mine valuable minerals, and refine fuel for the Imperial Navy. I read that sentence weirdly. Anyway, innumerable regiments of the Astra Militarum are raised from their massive populations as well. That's like the world that Dark Tide takes place on.
Yep.
That's a hive world.
Yep.
Strength in numbers. Hive world characters gain +1 plus FEL bonus divided by 2. Resolve if there are 3 or more creatures, allies, or enemies in a 3-cell radius. If they suffer a -2 penalty to resolve with no creatures around. They have bonus fellowship and agility, and penalty to willpower. Forge worlds are the domain of the Adeptus Mechanicus, entire planets ceded to the demands of vast macro industries. Each is a manufacturing super-complex of unimaginary capacity and power. Over the millennia, different Forge worlds have become especially renowned for their philosophies or ways of war. These are often colored by the technologies they specialize in manufacturing. The bulk of a Forge world's population is utilized as a labor force, while the fortunate few may be inducted into the ranks of the Adeptus Mechanicus itself. Forged for a purpose. Forge world characters choose one augmentation system from the following list. Subskin armor grants bonus armor. Locomotion system grants bonus MP and dodge. Movement points. Determine how far a character can move on their turn. So basically, they can move. It basically increase speed.
Yes.
Or analytic system grants bonus critical hit chance. Then they get +5 intelligence, +5 toughness, but -5 fellowship. Imperial World. An Imperial World is one of a million planets united by the belief in the immortal God Emperor. Hailing from hyper-technological societies to grimy feudal populations, the inhabitants of countless worlds offer fealty and devotion to the Master of Humanity and the Imperial Creed espoused by his servants. The designation Imperial World encompasses a vast array of wholly dissimilar worlds that are, nevertheless, part of the Imperium. Humanity's finest. Imperial World characters can select any characteristic except for weapon skill or ballistic skill and add a +10 bonus. Interesting. And they don't get any bonuses or penalties to their stats. So this is just your bog standard human.
Pretty much.
Fortress World. Fortress worlds are planets where the entire populace is immersed in warfare. They constantly train for the day that they may be called upon to defend the Imperium, a charge they solemnly uphold. Fortress worlds are established as bulwarks against the enemy. Every citizen is a soldier, trained to fight from the moment they can handle a weapon. Plus perception, which is how well the character perceives their surroundings. High perception can pick out a stray bolt or shell casing in between the day-to-day morass of an underhive, or even tell when someone is being deceitful. Also affects the awareness skill and reduces enemy dodge chance against a character's attacks. Minus, or then also plus willpower and minus fellowship. I find it interesting that none of these have plus fellowship. Wait, no, Hive World has plus fellowship. Okay, they have minus willpower. But I'm not really a fan of strength in numbers. I'm kind of considering Forge World, even though minus 5 on Fellowship. But like, I mean, from what you're saying, that shouldn't have like a huge impact. It just would be a potential impact at times.
Right. Also, you may not go with any sort of fellowship, important to your character at all.
I mean, but I tend to like going for stuff that boosts things like persuasion, coercion, etc.
Which would be very useful as a rogue trader. So that's good. But that's also what minions are for.
You said you can do skill rolls and such with whoever has the highest.
Yes, I do think one of the things that's a downside to co-op though is, so if you were playing by yourself, the 6 members in a party, all 6 you'd be able to choose from. If we're doing co-op, any characters I have control over aren't calculated in as far as like conversation skills.
But that just means that when like determining what characters who each of us has and how to build them and such, I just take that into consideration. I'm basically just playing as if I had a smaller party in that regard.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Like that's not that hard to deal with.
Yeah, it definitely isn't, because when I was playing, there's parts in the leveling up where you're just forced to pick skills, and I was ending up with multiple characters who were good at the same thing.
Actually, here we go.
2 characters.
I don't know at what point I would be able to get access to this specifically, but one of the things that talent that Forge World characters can get, calculated relations. Forge World characters can use persuasion, coercion, and commerce based on intelligence instead of fellowship.
So that's if you specifically want to just straight up abandon fellowship
and
go for full intelligence. Intelligence is useful for operatives, I think, which are like a support damage dealer, I think.
But like if I wanted to go with like the analytics system and a class focused on intelligence, a Forge World calculated relations would work well, and I think that would fit the character design here.
Possibly. Well, okay. When you're thinking about all those things, your character's portrait is not what would come to mind. An Adeptus Mechanicus is what comes to mind.
Well, yeah, but I don't remember there being a portrait that quite worked for that anyway.
You can't play Adeptus Mechanicus.
Yeah.
Not as a player-made character.
Otherwise, possibly Imperial World.
I wouldn't say to spend too much time agonizing over this, because later on in the character creation, when you actually are building your character and you realize which stats you want to prioritize, you might want to go back and tweak
Yeah,
your
I
world and
think
whatnot.
for now I'm leaning towards Forge World. Honestly, Forge World and Death World, I think, are kind of the ones that interest me the most. Death World definitely seems like something that would favor making someone focused on more melee and shit. But yeah, like one of the talents they can get even is increased critical hit chance for axes, hammers, and well, las weapons, which are not necessarily melee, but I do like axes and hammers. But for now, I'm selecting Forge World. Kind of like both the locomotion system and the analytics system.
Want my input on them?
On these two, the two systems, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go down to locomotion.
They both sound. I mean, all three of them sound like they should be decent, but the locomotion analytics systems sound like they're the more like they're probably the more appealing ones to me than the subskin armor.
Analytics is using intelligence to gain crit, and locomotion is using agility to gain movement speed and dodge percent.
Yeah. And then the subskin armor is just more
Toughness
armor
for damage resistance.
Yeah.
I can't remember 100%, but I believe armor provides a percentage damage reduction, and deflection applies a flat damage reduction.
Okay. Astra Militarum Commander. The Astra Militarum, commonly known as the Imperial Guard, is the primary fighting force of the Imperium and the first line of defense from the myriad threats that endanger the existence of humanity in the 41st millennium. You have served as one of the commanders of the Astra Militarum Regiment, commanding thousands and winning battles in the name of the God Emperor. Regimental Tactics. The Astra Militarum Commander and all their allies deal an additional perception-based damage to enemies that are adjacent to the commander or their allies till the end of the commander's next turn. All of the commander's allies also suffer no damage from allies' attacks until the end of the commander's next turn. It'll be used once per combat. You get more ballistic skill and perception, and athletics, and Medicaid. And then have more perception Medicaid available, as well as this other stuff. Commissar. Commissars of the Officio Prefectus are ruthless officers charged with maintaining the morale, discipline, and fighting spirit of their Astra Militarum regiment. You used to be one of these faithful servants of the God Emperor, a living symbol of Imperium authority, regarded with a mix of fear and awe by their subordinates. At all costs, Commissar's next single shot or single target melee attack applies the following effects. Enemy target. The target becomes marked. The ally who kills the marked enemy gains an extra turn after the current one with plus 2 AP and plus 4 MP. Allied target. All allies gain an additional plus 1 AP and plus 3 MP for 1 round. Can only be used once per combat. The Commissar themselves cannot gain bonuses from this ability. So basically you can shoot an enemy, and if someone kills that enemy, they get another turn. Or you can shoot one of your allies and improve the abilities of everyone because they don't want to be the next one shot.
Yep. I think shooting the enemy is the better option there, but shooting an ally still has options.
Crime Lord. The Imperium survives and prospers in no small part due to the narrowness of its vision, but a rebellious mind and will such as yours could not be so easily constrained. The dark paths of smugglers and renegades that wind behind the facade of the Imperium Society offer a dangerous refuge for those unwilling to bow to the law. You used to be one of these dangerous yet resourceful individuals.
I
Sure.
gotta step away for a moment. I'm still listening, but I won't be able to speak for a minute.
Okay. Surefire plan. At the start of combat, the Crime Lord gains plus int bonus stacks of the Surefire plan effect. Activation of this ability consumes one stack and makes the next action stronger depending on the type of action. If the Crime Lord attacks, they deal plus 10 plus perception bonus, more damage. If the Crime Lord moves, they gain dodge and parry until the start of the next turn. The Crime Lord uses a non-damaging ability on an enemy. That enemy suffers a penalty to damage for 1 round. It can be used multiple times per turn. That's actually kind of cool. Weapon skill, perception, awareness, subconscious ability to react to things that the conscious mind may not perceive. Awareness allows the character to notice traps, cleverly hidden objects, secret passages, and unusual or suspicious elements in the environment. Logic. It makes characters' rational arguments more convincing, allows them to notice any logical inconsistencies in other people's words. Also, it helps to operate cogitators more efficiently. They give access to new dialogue options. Kind of like Crime Lord.
Crime Lord's not bad.
And, like, Surefire Plan actually sounds really, really nice. Because it can be used as a buff for offensive buff, defensive buff, or an offensive debuff. And you get multiple uses of it in combat if you have higher intelligence.
Mhm.
Ministerium Priest. The ecclesiarchy, known formally as the Adeptus Ministerium, is a vast institution. Reading is not easy. That oversees the galaxy-spanning religion of the Imperium. The ecclesiarchy's complex hierarchies of cardinals, missionaries, preachers, and zealous laity ensure the prescribed prayers and invocations are made, all the while instructing the masses to guard against heresy and deviancy. You used to be one of those fiery and charismatic individuals concerned with keeping a close watch on your congregation. War Hymn grants momentum equal to 2 plus devotees' WP bonus. This ability also grants an additional WP bonus momentum for each enemy that is either in a 5-cell radius around the devotee or was hit by the devotee this turn. I can definitely see a potential interest in playing through this game more than once. Because there's a lot of interesting stuff here. And in a way that sounds more interesting than just simply having like different classes in D&D. Because that's one problem some of the D&D games have, is they don't necessarily give a lot of interesting development for going through the game with different classes, other than just the fact you're a different class. But like, that's something I have noticed with the Owlcat games in particular, is they actually are pretty good at incorporating those different kinds of things. Navy officer. The Imperial Navy is responsible for the fleets of I almost said feasts. They're eating void ships. The fleets of void ships that assert the dominance of the Imperium amid the stars and fulfill other duties connected to the void and warp travel. You used to be a Navy officer and a commander of a void ship, hardened in numerous battles and famous for resounding victories. Brace for impact. Once per combat. For 1 round, the Navy officer and their allies in a 3-cell radius gain +2 deflection for each archetype taken by the Navy officer. They also cannot be forcefully moved, or over-penetrated. They can be penetrated, just not over-penetrated.
So over-penetrated is something that, like ballistics projectile weapons, they're not as accurate as las guns, but you can like pierce through one enemy and hit the enemy behind him, and then hit the enemy behind him.
Okay, so it's like basically pierce. Noble. The high nobility of the Imperium are an enormously privileged and powerful elite, a breed apart from the common masses they rule. You grew into adulthood upon a pedestal of affluence and grandeur that towered high above the common masses. You expected their obedience and lived upon the fruits of their toil, surrendered to your family in solemn fealty. You serve me. The noble assigns one ally who will become their servant until the end of combat. Anytime the noble's abilities affect the servant gains +5 to all characteristics until the start of the noble's next turn. Anytime the servant attacks a target that the noble dealt damage to last turn, the servant gains bonus critical hit chance against that target. Okay, this is also very much what I might want to go with.
It's not a pet class, but it's practically the closest thing you can get to one. You just designate another companion as my minion.
Yeah. You protect me. If the noble and the servant are adjacent to each other at the start of the noble's turn, they both gain temporary wounds equal to the servant's tough bonus or noble's fellowship bonus, depending on which is higher. This would be the fellowship character.
It's one of them.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
fellowship.
Okay, this would be a fellowship character.
Yeah, and it's not just like it's a fellowship character. Most of these different archetypes will use like at least 2 different main stats.
If their servant gets too low on health, they can be like, okay, you're my servant now. If they have you are next. You are next. You kill it. Yeah, I'm kind of torn now between Crime Lord and Noble. Sanctioned Psyker. Psykers are feared and the distinct. Let me try that again. Psykers are feared and distrusted, but are nonetheless valuable assets to the Imperium. The role of the Adeptus Extra Telepathica is to recruit, identify, and classify those found to possess psychic abilities. The most powerful who somehow survive the rigorous sanctioning rituals are selected to serve on the battlefield. The mind of a sanctioned psyker is steeled against the manifold dangers risked by wielders of warp powers. You are one of those found worthy to serve humanity and have miraculously survived the perils of the warp. Note, damaging psyker powers count as weapon attacks, counting towards the normal attack limit per turn, and gaining all the benefits of abilities and talents, increasing the damage of attacks. For example, a soldier using the running gun ability will be able to use damaging psyker powers twice per turn, and an operative's analyze enemies ability affects damage of damaging psyker powers. Features. Sanctioned Psyker. Sanctioned Psykers have reduced chances to trigger psychic phenomena. Psyker. The character is a Psyker, albeit quite a weak one. Interesting. So, are any of the companions Psykers?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much every single archetype you've mentioned so far is covered by a companion.
Okay.
Whether or not you will like all of these companions is another matter entirely.
I'm torn between Crime Lord and Noble. And honestly, both feel like they fit well with my portrait as well.
Yep. I actually don't remember a Noble character. I remember a Crime Lord character. Or at least somebody who has that.
But if I go Noble, I probably want to go with a different homeworld.
Possibly.
Maybe. I mean, it still works fine. It's just the bonus to fellowship and the penalty to fellowship cancel each other out. Counsel?
Mm-hmm.
Cancel. And I won't really have need for calculated relations since I'll probably be more focused on fellowship anyway. Although both give bonus to intelligence, so technically speaking, I could still do this and have her be an intelligence-based noble.
I don't think everything that would normally be covered by fellowship can be covered by intelligence. So, for example, there might be gear that would normally be good for your character archetype that gives you a bonus based off fellowship that won't help you at all.
Yeah. Like, there's definitely some things that are set up to be either way, or where you don't necessarily have to be fellowship focused. Like, for example, you protect me bases off either the servant's toughness or the noble's fellowship.
Right.
um, if I go like Imperial World and get a plus 10 bonus to any characteristic other than weapon skill or ballistic skill. No Heresy makes it so you always have 0 lore Xenos and lore warp.
Mm-hmm.
Doing my part. If no other character in the current party has the same archetype as this character, the first archetype ability used in each combat by this character costs -1 AP less. Um, apparently, an archetype can not allow you to upgrade intelligence. Because Voidborn can get Be Smart, which one has the ability to use your intelligence instead of fellowship for abilities or talents. But also can always upgrade intelligence even if the archetype does not allow it.
Yeah, so some archetypes focus on certain skills, and because of that, like when it comes to putting points into stuff, they will only let you put points into certain things. So, for example, you can't specifically go, I'm going to play a character who doesn't use agility whatsoever for anything, and then put everything into agility.
Mm. Oh, maybe I'll go Hive World after all. Hive World, Noble.
That'd be interesting. I would say it fits, but everything here fits.
Hmm. And a Hive World character can get the ability to pass willpower resistance tests using their fellowship value instead.
Which would be very useful.
Mm-hmm. And the penalty to resolve from no creatures around from strength and numbers could be solved by having my servant stand next to me.
Well, unless your servant's melee in your range and you want them to go off and kill something.
Yeah, but there's also like where is it? You protect me. If the noble and the servant are adjacent to each other at the start of the noble's turn, they both gain temporary wounds and such. But yeah, there's just potential stuff I could use there. Otherwise, I'm thinking Crime Lord from a Forge World. I'm torn. I think I'll go with Noble from a Hive World. Because I think because like being a noble from Imperial World would obviously make sense too, but that feels more like if I'm going for someone who's actually more gung ho about the Imperium of Man. And I'm not inclined to do that. I'm gonna go with a Hive World Noble. Triumph. Apex of Brilliance. Your strong presence and persuasiveness stopped a feudal war between neighboring systems. +5 persuasion. Illustrious Glory.
I was gonna say, yeah, essentially pick what your character's crowning moment of glory was.
Illustrious Glory. You were named planetary governor and survived, having made useful connections on both sides of the law. Commerce +5. Represents characters' business sense and their ability to make profitable bargains. May give access to new dialogue options. Feat of Greatness. You had a rival noble house's reputation destroyed and its members exiled from the sector. +5 Coercion. Talent to manipulate other people through intimidation and reach their desired goals via threats and pressure during dialogue. I'm gonna go with Illustrious Glory. I kind of like that you were named planetary governor and survived, but
Yep.
by the way I've designed her appearance, maybe not completely unscathed. Grim or Darkest Hour, Grim Portents. The mysterious tome that was discovered in your family library exacted a terrible toll on your mind. Lore Warp -5. Brand of Shame. You are a bastard, an illegitimate member of a family that immediately turned its back on you. Lore Imperium -5. Shadow of Torment. You were kidnapped for ransom and your captors mistreated you up until the moment you were released. Carouse. It represents the ability to resist negative effects applied by some. All right. The Shadow of Torment kind of fits with the governor and survived. I'll go with Shadow of Torment. Archetypes. Ooh, Blade Dancer is the name of one of them. So, Warrior. Warriors are combatants boasting exceptional melee prowess, capable of dealing high damage in close quarters combat, withstanding heavy amounts of damage. They also excel at drawing enemies' attention from less defended allies. Core focus, melee, movement and dodge, armor and parry, taunts, soaking damage. Ossifer. Ossifers use their willpower and fellowship to improve the combat capabilities of their allies, turning them into even greater threats on the battlefield. Core focus, extra turns, single target buffs, rescuing allies, momentum. And that does sound like a kind of obvious one to go with. Operative. An operative uses intelligence and perception to find and exploit weaknesses in enemies' defenses. None can withstand an attack from an operative. Core focus, precise single attacks, defense penetration, area debuffs, consistent firing position. Soldier. A soldier is a master of all ranged weapons, quickly able to assume an advantageous position from where they stand, ready to rain and fire on an enemy. While well trained in a highly diverse range of arms, a soldier is particularly proficient at blasting their targets with burst fire and area weapons. Blade Dancer. Blade Dancers are swift and deadly masters of the sword, specializing in delivering flurries of rapid strikes, able to sacrifice a part of their health to enhance their close combat capabilities. Blade Dancers prefer to avoid enemy attacks, either by parrying, dodging, or quickly repositioning before enemy counterattacks. They even have the ability to parry ranged attacks. Core focus, melee swords, movement, dodge, parry. So very agility focused. Characteristics: weapon skill and agility. Have a plus thumbs up next to them. Skills: crowds, athletics, awareness, demolition, medicate. What does that thumbs up symbol mean?
Recommended.
Well, officer definitely seems like the best choice here.
Yeah, officer is going to be mostly buffing allies.
And comparatively, go Vanguard, Master Tactician, or Grand Strategist, I guess.
Yep. Master Tactician and Grand Strategist are also kind of like buffing / control. Vanguard is the damage dealer, I believe.
Hmm. Vanguard is a frontline leader.
Yep. Oh, it's a. I'm sorry, that's a tank.
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go officer, you will be a support character. An important support character, but still a support character. Everyone supports
Honestly, I think that's a good fit for a Hive World Noble.
Yeah, they ain't getting their hands dirty. That's what minions are for.
Yep.
Oh, kill that.
Literally in this case.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Ossifer.
Fun fact: my character was an officer as well. But
Like
I
I might go into I might shift into Vanguard when the time comes, but we'll see. Because I do kind of like the idea of a frontline leader,
uh-huh.
but we'll see how she develops.
Yeah, my character was an officer as well, but my character was also a psyker, not a noble. Which I love the fact that it's like, what in this game is the class? Well, it's a bit difficult because officer doesn't fully encapsulate what your quote class is, but neither does noble.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of the two. So I will say it's maybe about 70% officer and 30% noble.
Noble's defining what kind of officer I am.
Yeah. Now for your stats.
Available points 30, which I can apparently spend 5 at a time.
Yep. Weapon skill is melee weapons. Ballistic skill is, of course, ranged weapons. As you are a support, I would
It seems kind of obvious to go ahead and put buff fellowship up twice.
Yep.
Basically, I have 6 points to spend across these skills.
Forget what else. I know I used willpower, but willpower was mostly because I was a psyker. I don't know how much it helps you if you're not a psyker.
I mean, it does matter some for the archetype, seemingly, but
I think intelligence, maybe?
like it's one of the recommended for officer, but Vanguard wants toughness, I believe. Or at least it shows it as recommended.
Yeah, it is. But I don't think you're going to go Vanguard. There's plenty of better tanking options in the party than you.
Perception affects the awareness skill and reduces enemy dodge chance. Intelligence, more damage with non-burst ranged area attacks. Also affects Lore Imperium, Lore Warp, Lore Xenos, Logic, Medicae, and Tech use skills. That sounds useful.
Can be.
I'm at least going to bump it to 40 from 35. That improves my characteristic bonus. I could, like, shore up these. Like that. But then I only have 1 to spend in something, so.
Once again, I'm going to step away. I'm still listening, but I can't speak for a minute.
Firestorm class frigate is a modification of the Sword class designed to deliver fire strikes against large enemy ships, not shying away from engagements with a superior opponent. Estimated dimensions 1.8 kilometers in strength, 0.3 kilometers of beam with fins, prox. Estimated tonnage 6 megatons, prox. Estimated number of souls 25,000. Von Valancius flagship is the mightiest void ship belonging to the Von Valancius dynasty. Every system aboard this frigate has been tried and tested in innumerable engagements. Its weapons and turrets deliver hard-hitting volleys of pinpoint accuracy. Its plasma drives are rugged yet reliable in extreme conditions. Flagship size and maneuverability are perfect for pursuing smaller, faster raiders and confronting the countless pirates, Xenos, and heretics in the Cronus expanse. Numerous Von Valancius rogue traders have acknowledged the exceptional performance of this vessel, and with a few minor updates, the flagship has continued to faithfully serve the Von Valancius dynasty. Yeah.
Not a huge difference between the two. I think the Firestorm starts out with no torpedoes, and has a little bit more upfront, like forward arc firepower, but you can respec them pretty quickly. Yeah, the Firestorm is a special looking sword class.
I think it fits my noble. But
Firestorm,
yeah,
go for it.
you can change the name of it.
Mhm. Looking up something?
Huh?
Looking up something?
Yeah. Arcanum Liporidate. It's an arcane rabbit.
Thanks, little bunny.
also for characteristics, I went perception and I bumped intelligence and agility both up from 35 to 40. Um, agility just seemed like a decent idea because it's affects your initiative and such.
Yeah.
And then intelligence and to 40 as well, and then perception I bumped from 30 to 40.
Sounds like a plan.
Hmm. Now I
Two-minute ad just popped up.
okay. definitely not sitting here not noticing the press any key button. Or not button, but notification.
They're waiting for me to be out of the ad break. They certainly get the feel of 40k down, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm gonna have to turn VSync on after all.
An excellent place for contemplation. One has the best view of the cathedral from here. Mesmerizing, wouldn't you say? An impeccable manifestation of the God Emperor's sublimity.
Choices and dialogues. You are in a dialogue. Here you can learn more about current events, influence the character you are speaking to, or even alter the course of the game's narrative. Your character's personal story depends on the dialogue choices you make. Available dialogue options are displayed on the right. Select the reply by clicking on it or pressing corresponding. Got it. Do you have a particular reason for disturbing me?
My apologies. I did not seek you out to pester you with unwanted attention. Allow me to introduce myself. Conrad Voigtveer, Master of Whispers, in the employ of Her Ladyship Rogue Trader Theodora von Valencias. At your service. I haven't had the pleasure of speaking with you in person before.
You can hover your cursor over highlighted words to learn more about them. The tooltips that appear can help you. Rogue Trader, a subject of the Imperium with a unique hereditary title. A rogue trader is tasked with exploring and exploiting the still uncharted regions of the galaxy for the benefit of mankind. Duchess Lesporide Eos Venria Deval of Calexis. You may call me Your Grace.
My deepest respects to you, Your Grace. A noble of the Imperium. It's been a long time since Providence last brought such eminent guests aboard this vessel.
Voitzver smiles faintly, but you are not sure it is directed at you.
I will be frank with you. You may forget your past titles, no matter who gave them to you, or what their origins are. From the moment you and the other candidate were brought aboard this voyage ship, your fate changed. You now serve Lord Captain Theodora von Valencias, and carry the burden of an heir of this house. Henceforth, you share your dynastic name with Her Ladyship. Bear it with honor.
You have a curious title, Master of Whispers. What are your responsibilities?
To put it plainly, I am the head of the network of spies and informers who serve the interests of House von Valencias. I uncover weak links both among Lady Theodora's retinue and in the ranks of her rivals. I eliminate our vulnerabilities and exploit those of others.
You say I am one of the rogue trader's heirs, so there is another candidate.
There is, and you will meet him soon enough.
Lord Captain. A strange title for the Lady Theodora.
Such are the traditions of the Imperium. Lord Captain is the title that was established in the annals of the Lex Imperialis at the time when the first rogue traders entered the Gold Emperor's service, and therefore, it is sacrosanct.
Tell me about the one on whose ship I have found myself.
I would rather not discuss the Lord Captain behind her back, especially not on board her ship. No one knows better than I that whispers are wont to attract particularly close attention. Ah, suffice it to say that her ladyship is the bearer of the sacred warrant of trade and a woman of immense power and entitlement. However privileged your position may be, I ask that you do not incur her anger by being disrespectful or obtuse. Lady Theodora despises both qualities.
Warrant of Trade, sacred relic document that affirms the preeminent rights of a rogue trader throughout the galaxy. I assume you had some goal in mind when you decided to seek me out. Let us address it.
But of course, I have come to invite you to a meeting with Lady Theodora. I imagine you have many questions for your patroness, and I'm sure she has just as many questions for you. It is regrettable that you haven't yet had an opportunity to speak. It has been an arduous voyage thus far. The Lord Captain and Master Edelthrad von Valencius are conversing on the observation platform. Let us join them there.
By right of blood, rogue trader Theodora von Valencius desires to personally. And the design and architecture in here is really cool looking.
Mhm.
It's kind of interesting, like looking at like this and Wrath of the Righteous and Baldur's Gate 3, because the a lot of the elements are very similar, but there's a
But
very
different
different
studios takes on it.
yeah, and there's a very different storytelling style. Like, not that the stories are specifically like, I mean, the stories are different, but not like in the stories themselves so much as the way they're told. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 is very much uh being presented to you by the DM. Basically, the narrator is talks about it like she's your DM. Whereas this, like, they have the dialogue going on, but they have little bits in there that are not said out loud that are describing the scene and the
Like you're
elements of
reading
the
the
scene.
story.
Yeah. Which are also more needed here than in Baldur's Gate 3 because of the
Less
perspective.
animation.
Yeah. But you do have some of those elements in Baldur's Gate 3 also, but they're the DM describing the scene to you or describing the character to you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and they both do it really well, their own style.
I always have a backup plan.
Interactable objects. Some objects in the game can be interacted with in a special way. They are marked with specific icons. Some icons allow you to study objects, others will transfer the character to neighboring locations or launch a small event. These icons become visible when your character is standing close enough to the interactive object. Hold tab to highlight objects your character can interact with. Okay. If I see you raise your head again, I'll hand you over to the tech priests for servitorization. The crew member is hard at work, bowing his head in fear and avoiding even looking at you. Thought begets heresy, begets retribution. Or, no, thoughts begets heresy, heresy begets retribution. To question is to doubt, ignorance is a virtue. My armor is contempt, truth begets hatred. Aren't these quotes also on the loading screens in Warhammer 40k Darktide?
Maybe quite similar, but I'm not sure it's exact word for word. It's very common
I
40k.
believe ignorance is a virtue, and the thought begets heresy, heresy begets retribution are.
Maybe.
And I think truth begets hatred. I think there's a little more to these here than in Darktide, but
Always
it's just
keep your eye on the prize.
like it shows their how much of an inherent thing they are to Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
Lay people interfering in the operation of the sacred mechanisms disturbs the machine spirits. In the name of the Omnissiah, refrain from any further profane acts. I do really like the portrait I chose. Dogmatic, heretical, and iconoclast.
Yep. Those are the three quote morality sliders. Dogmatic is
basically adherence to the God Emperor.
Yep.
And
iconoclast is like wanting to do the right thing within the bounds of the law.
And I'm not like I don't know exactly where in this I would fall with how I'm going to play this, other than likely not dogmatic.
Right. So it
So
just depends on how many babies you'll eat.
I also notice up here they've got a spectrum as if it were two things, because there's Puritan and radical. Because if you're not dogmatic, you're radical. Like it makes sense, but it's kind of funny seeing it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Reputation, archetypes. Features. Talents. I have a stub revolver and no clothes. This isn't clothing. Greetings, my lady. Sacred mechanism has been interfered with without due reverence. The duration of the data processing cycle has tripled. Incomprehensible information is displayed on a large screen above the cogitators. You can make out references to unfamiliar systems and worlds amongst the numbers and logisticar symbols. Looks like I can make the lobby now.
Good, because I'm dozing off. Let me see if I can join you.
I sent an invite.
I love my icon for Steam.
I like mine. Although I have some new stuff I made that I might use. I just hadn't thought of actually using it on Steam yet. And once I do finish Mirror's Edge Catalyst, we'll be able to get a little earlier start on Rogue Trader.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a character yet.
Nope.
Mercenary creation. Co-op mode. You have met the mercenary steward. Talk to him. Through the corresponding dialogue options, you will be able to create up to 2 mercenaries for other group members to control. As a group leader, you will be redirected to the character creation screen. There you'll be able to give these mercenaries names and customize them, choosing their backgrounds, archetypes, and various other parameters. Once the mercenaries are created, their models will appear in the game world. At first, they will be controlled by you. Go to the character assignment menu to grant each group member the ability to control the corresponding mercenary. If your group consists of more than 3 players and there are still not enough characters for everybody, keep playing. As story unfolds, new companions will soon join your party. Each group member will be able to pick a character for themselves. Warning, if you skip the dialogue with the mercenary steward, you will not be able to return to him later.
This is new to me.
So we could make a mercenary for you to use, at least for now.
I would appreciate that.
Would you like to be provided an army escort, milady? The ship's regulations state that you're entitled to a retinue of up to 2 fighters. Yes, I need to bolster my ranks. You'll have to wait but a moment. Custom character?
Oh, you have full control over it. Like, I can see everything and I can click, but I have no control. What is Hikata?
Soldier.
Soldier.
Astra Militarum Commander. Imperial World Military Traditions.
That'd be fine.
Okay, so just go with Hikata?
Let me double check, see. Sure.
So yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch and learn.
Keep her portrait and such the same?
Yeah, keep her as is. Everything's good,
I'll see you destroyed.
Keep the name Hikata?
Sure.
Right?
Is there money to be made?
I now have a bodyguard.
I know how to take risks.
Interaction between players. While playing co-op mode, you can highlight a cell creature a line of dialogue, an object on the map, or an ability icon to emphasize it for group members or other group members. They will hear the ping and see the object highlighted on their screens. This can be used in zones where you can directly control your characters in ground and space combat, dialogues and book events, and on various maps. Interactions in dialogues and book events. All group members except the leader can use left mouse button in ground combat to highlight the icon of an ability or a consumable item on the panel at the bottom of the screen. Additionally, they can use left mouse button to highlight choices in dialogues and book events, showing other group members which option they would like to select. Note, though each group member can express their opinion, it is up to the group leader to make the final decision.
Fair.
Each group member can use Alt plus left mouse button to highlight a selected object, such as a unit in combat and out of combat, a cell on the battlefield in ground and space combat, an object on the map, including location map, system map, and the Cronus Expanse map. Have you heard? Apparently the lower decks got a big influx of new blood after the last on-world resupply. Is there some pestilence spreading through the crew, and that's why we had to make up the shortfall? Last time it was blue leprosy that called our ranks.
Let us not dawdle.
Candlelit altar with a copy of the 2348th volume of the Lex Imperialis, the Codex of the Sacred Laws of the Imperium. There's also a massive conference table, obviously crafted from real wood, a resource of incredible value aboard a void ship.
Rise to the top or get left in the dust.
One of the Fon Valencia's trophy rooms. Perhaps you would like to take a look around after your audience with the Lord Captain.
What's happening? Run! The servitors have gone berserk!
That's not good.
I blame you for this. You show up on board and all of a sudden this hell breaks out? Must be your
Challenges
fault.
make the spoils that much sweeter!
You've been ambushed. Battle be start of combat. To survive in the grim darkness of the future, you will have to face enemies of all kinds and fight for your life. Start the battle. Oh, sucks to be those guys. Movement in combat. All battles in the game are turn-based and take place on a grid. On their turn, a character can move, attack, and use their abilities. Select a cell within the highlighted area and double-click on it to move the character there. Movement points determine how far a character can move on their turn. 1 MP corresponds to 1 cell on the battlefield. Moving diagonally is more costly. Every second diagonal cell uses 2 MP. At the beginning of each turn, movement points are restored to their maximum value. Note that once a character starts moving, this action can no longer be cancelled. Are you in here?
Yeah.
Where are you?
Oh, I don't think I am. I am left on the other side of the door.
Ooh. Oh, there, I see you. Well, hopefully you can open the door and come in.
I don't think so.
I'll see to it personally.
I've told Conrad he serves me now.
You can fire.
Effective distance 75%. Max distance 7%. How do I know what my effect? One creature within a 12 cell radius.
So if you mouse over the pistol shot,
Mm-hmm.
if you look on the grid map, there's like 2 different red rings that appear.
I see.
Yeah. You could move a little bit closer, like here.
Think.
Oh, that works too.
I think here would put me close enough to be within the smaller circle.
Yep.
To make attacks and use abilities in combat, a character must spend action points. Their total is displayed on the panel at the bottom of the screen. Every attack or ability has certain AP costs associated with it. The number of squares next to the icons of attack actions and other abilities indicates their AP cost. At the start of each character's turn, their AP is restored to their maximum value. Single shot. To attack, first click on single shot icon on the weapons panel at the bottom of the screen. Hover the cursor of the enemy. The amount of damage a character deal depends on parameters of the weapon, effectiveness, shot. Certain abilities in the game are considered attack actions and can only be used once per turn unless affected by specific talents or other abilities the character might have. If the character performs an attack action, they will not be able to attack again and will lose their remaining movement points until the start of the next turn.
I'll make it happen. I refuse.
You have to press spacebar or something to end your turn.
But I was trying to use another ability, but they have more AP,
Okay.
but I apparently can't.
Click on it and then mouse over Kunred. Yeah, there's a range to it. I don't know.
10. It says 10 square or 10 cells.
Let me see. I don't know.
Oh well. Are you able to get through the door?
I don't think so. Nope.
Attack of opportunity. Characters with melee weapons can make an attack of opportunity if an opponent in an adjacent cell initiates movement. It can also be triggered by some abilities. All characters with melee weapons, including members of your party, can make attacks of opportunity. Chance to hit and deal damage is calculated just like a normal attack.
Yep. So if you try and move away, you'll be attacked. And you're too close to use the pistol effectively. Well, you can still use it, but...
My gut tells me it's a bad idea.
Okay, I think he just doesn't count as an ally, and that's why I can't use it on him. Or friendly. It says one friendly creature. Which actually, no, I was able to use "You Serve Me" on him.
I don't know.
On it.
I missed. Meow. Character has just missed. To increase hit chance, equip your character with a decent weapon, place it on a vantage point.
You had a 75% chance to hit, and you rolled a 96.
I won't
Oof.
stand for it.
Okay, dude, you are useless.
He's buffing attacks against it and debuffing it.
I know.
Taking calculated risk is my second nature. Consider this a taste of what's to come.
Your character has just landed a critical hit that deals increased damage to the character's critical damage stat. Equal to the character's critical damage. Critical damage is 150% of the normal damage by default, however certain talents and such can increase it.
For the glory of the Imperium!
What suspiciously poor timing for such an accident. Servitors malfunction on the officer's deck at exactly the same moment when the rogue trader and her heirs are gathered here. I have blocked all passages between the upper and lower sectors of the residential decks. If this is a deliberate attack, it should stop the culprits from advancing their plan.
Okay, pistols and shotguns specifically can be fired at point blank range.
Okay.
This is why I have even the basic tutorial stuff on currently, is because, while I'm very familiar with this kind of game in general,
I must remain here. For Lady Theodora's safety, I have to oversee the execution of these orders personally. I hope you will have no difficulty reaching the observation platform on your own. It is just at the end of this corridor.
but there's little specifics like that that the tutorials might answer that are unique, can be unique to this a specific game.
I always have a backup plan.
Tarantula Sentry Gun, constructed with the blessing of the Adeptus Mechanicus, using a standard template construct in the manufactorums of Calva Gamma. Wires in Servitor's head are still smoldering. It would seem the cause of this malfunction was the short-circuiting of the motive force.
Keep your wits about you.
I don't know how to open the door.
Me either.
A violet alloy, which upon closer examination turns out to be a handcrafted object. Symbols carved with a primitive tool are visible on the surface. Black shard resembling obsidian. If you look closely, you can discern a strange, barely perceptible glow inside the artifact. Massive golden amalgam interspersed with sparkling particles. The stone on the pedestal is no doubt solid, but its surface shimmers and changes hue as if someone has captured a piece of turbulent sea within the rock. A strange object that resembles sea coral. The porous surface is pitted, a sign that it has been underwater. A gray green crystal with white veins. A low hum can be heard coming from the artifact.
Is there money to be made?
Lemon Rust battle tank. Reclaimed and restored by the grace of the God Emperor. The first to breach the capital walls during the pacification of Vortex Thon.
Let us not dawdle.
This exhibit is unfinished. Another symbol of House von Valancius's valor will be displayed here at some point. No initiative, no independent thought, only the Omnissiah's commandments and adherence to protocols.
I have a nose for profit and a taste for adventure. Rise to the top or get left in the dust.
The lifts carrying people around the decks move with a loud grinding noise.
I don't think there's a way for me to go through.
Weird.
I always keep my options open.
Because this part of the game wasn't designed for co-op.
That is simply irrational, Lady Theodora. Assimilation into the trade structure would be political and economic suicide. Practically an admission of heresy.
Then suggest an alternative that will satisfy me. I have described the situation. No worse than my seneschal.
Theodora has butt hair.
Make
Yep.
a decision. What will you do with Ion 6, Edelthrad?
Wait, is this actually Futurama? I'm gonna survey the room. I could. I'm going to survey the room. Your first impression of Edelthrad, who appears to be about 30 years old, is of parchment-like skin stretched over a tightly bundled mass of sinew, implants, and bone. The nervously twitching fingers, the face twisted by a slight tic, and the jerky movements are all signs of some illness or defect that has taken over his physical form. In stark contrast to Edelthrad, Theodora von Valancius's features appear as if they were carved from marble, eternal and indestructible. Head raised high, proud postures, hands clasped casually behind her back. Everything seems to emphasize the difference in status between her and Edelthrod. Next to the two of them, you see two more men. One is a gray-haired officer of impeccable bearing who is studying the contents of his data slate. The other is a behemoth bristling with holsters and baldricks containing all manner of weapons.
Our second candidate has joined us. Approach and give me your answer. Consider this hypothetical situation. Ion 6. A new world on the fringes of the Coronis expanse. High seismic activity, regular magma eruptions, metamorphic rock deposits, prospects for large-scale mining. The world is populated by natives who worship some heretical underworld spirits that protect those who offer them sacrifices. Flights of fancy, you might say, but attempts to install ore extractors have failed for the second time. The mining crews sent to the planet's surface simply vanished overnight. My question to you is, what would you do with this poisoned treasure?
Hmm. Your character's skills reflect their knowledge and capabilities. Some dialogues automatically initiate passive skill tests. If such a test succeeds, new information will be revealed or a hidden dialogue option will unlock. If your character is traveling with allies, the party member with the highest score in the applicable skill is selected for each given passive skill test. I will be right back.
Okay.
Nothing. I am back. Meow, meow. Yeah, I'm not really sure of a good place for me to be during dialogue stuff.
Well, the good news is I don't care because I'm watching my screen, not the stream. But yeah, far to the right maybe because that's generally going to be your character, so it covers your portrait with your avatar.
I could just be a ghost.
That too.
A trick I learned from Invisible Woman. Let's see. Laura Xenos. The spirits could well be the natives' name for dangerous aliens. I would first verify if this is indeed the case and if the population of 96 engages in Xeno worship. Or Laura Warp succeeded. There are ways to confirm whether what is happening on Ion 6 is witchcraft or not. It might cost several psychers to do so, but it will give us the answer. Hmm. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Laura Xenos answer.
Reasonable and prudent. However, chasing after ethereal creatures may prove a rather long and fruitless endeavor.
Apart from Xenos, an untrodden planet might be teeming with myriad horrors that are far more dangerous and difficult to eradicate. I suspect that you are simply unaware of their existence.
I like how 3 and 4 are basically the same thing, but 3 is much more grandiose.
Yeah.
On the one hand, I like the first one, but I feel like 3 works really well for my noble.
That's fine.
I find your tone most disagreeable, Ethelthrad. You will kindly alter the manner in which you address me, or else you will live to regret the consequences.
Well, I find your company disagreeable, and yet I'm forced to endure such.
Edelthrad, I believe I gave you an assignment on this ship. Explain to me then why my senior congregator is still dawdling about the officer's deck, instead of proceeding to the middle decks to commence the inspection of the compartments in his purview.
I beg your forgiveness, Lady Theodora. Your presence has such a profound effect on me that I well forgot the time.
Ethelthrad bows ceremoniously and takes his leave without sparing you another look.
So, why are you here?
There are questions that I wish to have answered.
You are direct. I approve. But you will have to wait. There is something I want you to understand first.
She, on the one hand, appreciates when people do as they're fucking told, but she also appreciates people with spine.
Mm-hmm. The delicate balance that can be hard to find in people who are under you.
Yep.
My name is Theodora von Valancius Massimo of Scaris. I am a rogue trader in the service of the God Emperor of humanity. And my rights and freedoms are vindicated by a most sacred relic. The warrant of trade, kept aboard this very vessel. Mine is the honor to venture into the darkness, beyond the Imperium, and carry humanity's light where powers wicked and heretical reign, and bow death and ruin to us all. It is my decision alone to determine the fate of whatever I find past the bounds of the explored void. Every world I discover, along with all there is to find thereon, resources, people, riches, and mysteries, is mine by right. I command millions of lives, rule over numerous planets, and possess fortunes that no planetary governor or commander could dream of amassing. And you are one of those with von Valancius blood in their veins and a rightful claim to this inheritance when the hour comes.
One of. Does this mean there are other heirs?
Naturally. Some have yet to arrive on board, but you have had the pleasure of meeting one of them. Ethelthred may be
Ow.
somewhat disconcerted by the scale of the responsibilities that may potentially fall upon his shoulders. However, I have a good feeling about him as a candidate. Bloodright alone is not enough to earn the high honor of becoming the bearer of a warrant of trade. Nonetheless, your abilities and talents may yet prove useful. If not for the role of Lord Captain, then for that of their closest ally. Alas, even those responsibilities can at times be too challenging for those who share your blood. Kunrad Voitvir served me for many years before he made his mistake.
Did I hear you correctly? The Master of Whispers is related to you.
His kinship to me is most distant, as is yours. Nonetheless, he does bear the name von Valancius, even if he avoids using it publicly and, as such, strictly speaking, can be considered my heir. That door, however, is closed to him. Voitvir's performance in his current role is satisfactory. Or it used to be, at least.
Thank you for clarifying. May I ask my questions now?
I have some time before the navigator gives the signal to initiate the void ship's translation out of the warp, and my presence is required on the bridge.
An incident took place on the officer's deck. Some servitors went berserk and attacked the crew.
Is that so? Perhaps the technomats were careless during maintenance. Or it could be the warp playing tricks on us in spite of the Gellerfield. Or perhaps there is something to all the stories about the ship being possessed after all.
Lady Theodora, for the God Emperor's sake, surely you do not intend to start repeating idle rumors spread about by uneducated riffraff.
Enough, Abelard. Such hearsay amuses me. Idira eagerly retells me everything she learns from the whispers of her unseen advisors. This ship is thousands of years old. It has enough hidden nooks, malfunctioning cogitators, and unused compartments to make ignorant folks speak of specters dwelling inside the bulkheads and plotting against those who yet live.
What are my current responsibilities?
Observe, learn, absorb. It will take time for you to find your bearings aboard this vessel and in your new position. Eventually, I will find a post that suits you as I did for Ethelthrad. Until that time comes, consider yourself my aide.
Where is your ship headed?
The Rykad system, the domain of rogue trader Winterscale, one of my peers and rivals. Besides me, 2 other rogue traders exist in the Coronis Expanse, and each of them possesses resources comparable to mine. Perhaps you will one day assist House von Valancius in surpassing both of them in affluence and splendor. I set the course for Rykad on the demand for a very specific reason. Perhaps I shall yet apprise you of the purpose for this voyage, but now is not the time.
I have no more questions.
In that case, I shall head to... Disturbances reported on the adjacent decks. Seneschal, if the need arises, protect the new blood. It is possible that the chance to prove your worth may present itself sooner than you may have anticipated.
Your demise is already calculated.
Hey, here I am.
Yay!
Your Emperor won't save you!
All combatants act in turns, and their order is determined by an initiative roll. The order of turns is displayed on the left side of the screen from bottom to top. The character at the very bottom goes first, then the one above them, and so on. Start the battle!
Don't touch
Kill
me.
them. See the noble.
I've seen worse battles than this in my time. I took care of this
Stick him,
one.
Ablord.
One fewer target.
Break them
Okay, right now this feels like Fire Emblem. Got the one guy that's just murdering everything for us.
Death to the weak. Death to non-believers.
Cover. Use cover to avoid enemy attacks. Cover that a character can hide behind are marked with a shield or a shield with a skull. When standing close to them, the character will automatically take up an advantageous position. In this case, the chance the enemy attacks will hit the cover and not the character behind them increases. The character will not receive a bonus if attacked from a side not protected by their current cover. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Just noticed there's some up there too.
Yeah, if you press and hold tab, it'll outline the guys in red. A little easier to see.
I'll see to it personally.
You, serve me.
Eh. Can you voice of command me?
Who,
Yep.
if not me?
Fantastic. Oh
It's as
god,
good as
my
done.
stats are through the fucking roof.
Out of my way!
I've suffered worse.
And you have burst fire. And you have running gun.
Sorry, I'm considering my options.
I'm just glad this has turn-based combat because I prefer that for games like this.
Nothing of value has been lost.
For the Imperium!
I took care of this one.
Just zoomed over there for the second person.
Death to the heretics!
Flamethrower!
Chaos guides me!
Brace yourself, Camelot.
Chaos guides me!
Your character has received a temporary positive effect from an ally. Such effects enhance your character's capabilities in combat in some way.
Oh yeah, kill them from Theodora gives us plus 50 ballistic skill. Hit chance is roughly equal to ballistic skill plus 30. So your ballistic skill is 80. So your base hit chance is 110%, but there's also their evasion and stuff that's affecting that.
I'll make it happen.
Crush the feeble!
Reduced to dust.
Mort, take a team with you and clear a path to the transport line. Do not let a single whoreson survive.
And also kill the enemies.
Didn't bat an eye when that scum burst onto the deck, huh? Not bad. I have seen many an officer who panicked at the sight of combat on the upper decks. The false sense of security offered by their position makes them that much more vulnerable to the harsh realities of warp travel.
What is happening?
From what we have seen, I can speculate that we are dealing with some variety of madness induced by warp travel. Such episodes are not uncommon among voidsmen who have found themselves outside the boundaries of real space, though such episodes seldom spill onto other decks.
Oh, the casters are not working, or have been sabotaged. Either the warp is toying with us, or someone went to great lengths to cut the ship's communications. I will need a direct channel to the engine seer prime before I can get a sense of what we are up against. Whatever it may be, keep your weapons at the ready. I imagine it will be some time before we no longer need them.
The incident with the rampaging servitors may be connected to what is transpiring now.
Possibly. Quite likely. We will investigate at a later time. Right now, we need to isolate the affected compartments and try to assess the situation.
What are your orders?
Mort has gone on ahead to clear a path for us. If you want to make yourself useful, go after him and see if the Arch-Militant requires aid. And be quick about it.
I should have grabbed a Psyker instead. Oh well.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
The massive metal structure never stops moving for a moment. Light bounces off the orbits and figure.
Keep your wits about you.
Heretic's body is riddled with holes. An improvised single-shot gun lies smoking in his hand. The accursed traitor shot him at point-blank range. The Master at Arms is not looking good.
Thank Providence you're alive and well.
Always on time, eh, Coonrad? The moment we finish chasing the riffraff around the deck, you show up. Always just after the fighting's done. You could set your chrono by it.
Mort, pull yourself together.
What, did the Lord Captain send you to chivvy us along? We're all done here. I'll report right away.
Master of Whispers, what is happening on my ship? The Voxnet is silent. The Vox Master is not responding. Armed assailants have stormed the officer's deck, and my arch-militant just destroyed several more heretics on the way here. Is this a severe case of warp madness? Have some of my crew lost their minds and forgotten who they are and whom they serve? Report!
I have not yet received word from the Engineerium regarding any Gellerfield failures, but communications were already unstable half an hour ago, and now they have ceased altogether. Whatever the cause may be, the consequences are spreading fast. I am receiving scattered reports from the middle decks, and the only voxcasts from the lower bays are one-way heretical gibberish. That the madmen have already reached the officer's deck suggests that this outrage was planned in advance. Perhaps this is an organized mutiny.
Let's see. Mutiny? But who would attempt a mutiny here, in the warp?
Lunatics, fools, heretics. This ship houses thousands upon thousands of people. Pernicious thoughts and warp-induced delusions could have tainted any one of them. It is a difficult notion to accept, but such risks are inescapable. First, we have to confirm that the bridge and the navigator's sanctum are secure. And I have the means to do both things at once.
Her expression changes as her eyes flash ominously.
Edelthrad, where is he? I must know if he is unharmed. A psyker aboard a ship that is potentially being assailed by the warp could pose a greater threat to himself and others than a whole army of madmen with improvised weapons.
I tried to locate him, but the last thing known about his movements is that he arrived on Transitional Deck 18.
Blast it! Master of Whispers, find Edelthrad immediately. Seneschal, locate Tlas and the Sister of Battle. Both are to remain at my side. Arch-Militant, with me. I must go to my study. And it appears we might encounter heretics along the way.
Lasporidae.
If I may, Lord Captain. Transitional Deck 18 is at the heart of the disturbance, and if our goal is to bring Edelthrad back, I could use some support. After all, I'm not as adept at directly confronting enemies of the House as the esteemed Arch-Militant, and taking into consideration Edelthrad's psychic powers.
Then it's settled. Find Edelthrad and bring him here. In whatever state you find him. This elevator leads to restricted compartments such as my personal chambers and the bridge. Do not let me down. I require you both. Do you understand?
I shall do everything in my power.
Not everything in your power. You will do as I say. I'll have your heads if you fail. Is that clear? Then move out. Mort, come.
Are you ready to head to 18? It is a long walk, and you do not even have proper gear.
Kind of like second one. I have a proposition. Since I am the more important person here, you can go in front to shield me from potential threats.
Oh, certainly. Lady Theodora would be devastated if she were to lose one of her precious heirs. But that is no longer relevant.
Something hits you hard with a sharp crackle, and you are consumed by unbearable, gut-wrenching pain. And I am not at all surprised. I promised you a special destiny, Lasporidae. It's time to fulfill it. Why did it look like he was giving me a massage? You will receive a massage at gunpoint. Desynchronization was detected. Open the...
Careful,
never mind.
careful. Be gentle with our guest. She has an important mission to complete during our visit to the Warren Chamber, and for that, I need her breathing. Oh, you are back with us, I see. Delightful.
Void Sphere, you two-faced scum. You are the one behind this mayhem.
How perceptive of you. I'll help you with the next insight. I need you here for your blood. You have the option to share it voluntarily, or I will squeeze it out of you myself.
I love this scene. Sorry for the small spoiler, but Jesus Christ.
I like the voice actor for Kunrad.
Yeah, he's good.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the anteroom of the Warren Chamber, this void ship's most hallowed vault. There, beyond those gates, lies the relic that gives Theodora all of her power. The sacred Warrant of Trade. Only one obstacle remains on my path to obtaining it. The gates of the chamber are guarded by the Sentinel, an ancient device that will only open the door to a true heir of the dynasty. I expected to do this part myself, but never mind. You will offer your blood to the Sentinel.
Number 5. It's amusing. Will you let me join you? But, you know, another playthrough I might would choose that option, but this character is not going to be so tolerant because of the indignity he's already... Yeah. What is it, inbred? Is your blood too thin for the Sentinel?
On the contrary, the Warp's blessing has raised me too much above your kind, Fon Valencius. The Sentinel refused to submit to me. But you can help. After all, isn't that what family is for?
Coercion succeeded. What sorry, pathetic excuse do you even have for your apostasy, you sordid, wretched piece of Grok's shit? Good grief! I'm going with that one. What sorry, pathetic excuse do you even have for your apostasy, you sordid, wretched piece of Grok's shit?
Wretched? What do you know about wretchedness? Theodora's cur. Are you hoping to buy a grain of her indulgence with your blind loyalty? Oh, I know this delusion. But thank the gods it no longer has power over me. Humanity can rot. I no longer serve mortal kind.
Yep.
Once my work is done, I'll make that pompous wench Fon Valencius watch as I sacrifice her entire dynasty and commit their fate to the gods. And you will be the instrument by which I will accomplish this righteous act.
The blade flashes in the dim light, and drops of blood appear on your palm. For a brief moment, you feel nauseous. Your head is spinning, and then quiet whispers begin to flood your mind. More and more sourceless voices echo each other, drowning out your own thoughts, replacing them with a singular urge. Go to the gate. Go to the gate. Go to the gate.
So, this is some sort of, like, demonic warp intrusion into your mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a psyker, you can actually start to fight it with psychic power.
Cool.
But you're not, so fuck you.
Fight the voice in your head. Get out. I am not your puppet.
Good luck with that.
The voices in your head giggle and mock your desperate outcry. You feel this intruding influence. You were wounded by the corrupted weapon, which led to a warp entity invading your mind. Oh, that says decision consequences.
Yep.
Forcing you onto your feet and making you take a step forward. The gates looming in the center of the chamber.
Skill tests.
Skill tests in dialogue. One of the available dialogue options requires making a skill test. Unlike with passive tests, which are made automatically, in this case, you can decide whether or not to select an option, the consequences of which will depend on the result of the associated test. Success or failure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Success or failure affects how the dialogue develops. Depending on the context, you might change the course of the conversation, alter the character's attitude, or perform an action whose consequences will only become apparent later. Hover your cursor over the dialogue option that requires a skill test, and you will see a tooltip detailing your chances of success.
Specifically, hover over Tech U65, and there is a dynamic difficulty modifier that is essentially making it so you have 100% chances to do it.
The number after the skill's name indicates the difficulty of the test. Once your character starts traveling with allies, the party member with the highest score in the applicable skill will be selected for each test. Examine the device. Succeeded. You carefully inspect the design of the gate cogitator. What immediately catches your eye is a strange alloy that was used as material for the machine's components, some of which are unfamiliar to you. You suspect this might be some kind of archaeotech relic, an incredibly rare and powerful piece of technology from humanity's ancient past. Gained 20 experience. The servitor on the gate begins to move. With the screeching and groaning of metal, it leans forward, closer to you. Its lower jaw opens with a drawn-out shriek, much wider than the jaw of a living human child. Than a living human could.
Also much larger than the jaw of a living human child.
I mean, at least I misread it in a way that still works. The servitor's mouth is filled with sharp metallic fangs that glint in the dim light. The vid screen to the right of you lights up, showing strings of mysterious symbols on a green background. A whisper runs through your consciousness, insisting, demanding sacrifice. The voices that filled your head after Voitvir wounded you with his blade did not go away. On the contrary, their source coiled itself into a tight knot somewhere in the depths of your mind. So I got myself possessed with the decision I made back there.
There was some decision you made that possessed you.
Which would suggest that it's possible to go through this without that happening.
Possibly.
Let's see. Examine the sentinel. Place your hand in the sentinel's maw. Look back. Look for anything that can be used as a weapon. Meowdy, Eki. I'm gonna look for anything that could be used as a weapon. You look around in hopes of finding at least something that could work as a weapon. Your search is in vain. The chamber anteroom is completely empty and in perfect working condition. Nary a broken panel or a protruding piece of rebar in sight. I will examine the sentinel. The servitor looks noticeably different from the ones you are used to. Its skin covering is stitched together with copper thread, and it has metal hinges in place of the standard joints. It seems that the creators of the Sentinel did everything to ensure that the service life of this unit would be much longer than that of ordinary automatons. Look back.
Did you forget something? I suggest you hurry.
I just wanted to hear your voice again. Place your hand into the Sentinel's maw. The Sentinel's jaws clamp around your hand, puncturing your skin and sinking into your flesh. A few dark drops fall into the servitor's throat, and immediately you hear humming as the servo motors start up and the pumps stir into motion. The vid screen of the cogitator flickers. Several long minutes pass. The sentinel's jaws remain closed, and you're beginning to feel sick. Perhaps if you were to lean against the gate, you could catch your breath. Maybe even close your eyes. Pretend none of this ever happened.
High levels of caustic humus. The subject is in a state of heightened stress. Do you require assistance?
You do not understand where this quiet voice is coming from, crackling like static. Is it the sentinel? The cogitator? Is it a figment of your weary mind? Whichever it is, you can clearly hear every word. Yes, I do require assistance. Pain shoots through your head and subsides just as quickly. It would seem the entity coiled in your consciousness does not have the ability to do you any real harm.
Request accepted. Initiating defense protocol.
Nice.
Yeah, this whole ship is like yours.
Yeah.
Well, Valencia's.
Well, it's it's my family's, basically.
Yeah.
Well, there is still another way.
I like how every inch of this room is just covered with massive deadly weapons, but it's all just covered enough.
See, wait, I saw something pointing, I think, to you. Where are you?
Yeah, don't worry. I'm not actually here.
Okay.
This is a you only thing.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. But, I will be right back, though, because I need to use the restroom.
Fine.
Okay, I'm back.
No, welcome back.
Is there
Uncle.
money to be made?
The enormous gates match the importance of the thing they protect. The massive doors are made of heavy metal and look impregnable. There. Alright, I didn't need to turn these things on. I was trying to see if there's a way to make the little pop-up thing when I click on those things stay longer. It doesn't seem like there is, but they're not something that changes, so like I can just click on it again to pop it back up. So it's
correct.
Not a big deal.
How much longer were you going to be playing this tonight?
I don't have a set amount of time, but I fear eventually at some point I'm probably going to switch over to Monster Hunter Wilds.
Okay.
Let it be known that by my will and by the true words of this document, I appoint this person to be the bearer of the warrant of trade and bestow upon them and their dynasty the great mission. To be the paragon of humanity, unbroken by adversity, to walk bravely first into darkness, to unite and reclaim what was lost, to triumph over nightmares untold, to hold boldly the reins of fate, to walk steadily the road of thorns, and one other line that I couldn't read fast enough.
Escort the child of the house to safety.
What madness is happening here? Who are you? Who addresses me?
Temporary obnubilation following acute stress. Mobile unit of the Warren Sentinel standing by.
Are you the Warrant Sentinel?
Mobile unit of the Warren Sentinel, designed as a personal escort of the child of the house and a means of communicating with the rogue trader's subjects. Mobile unit standing by.
Lead me away from here.
Middle and upper decks. Assuming the probability of safe placement in areas of concentration of armed units. Calculating. To prevent unauthorized units from breaching the warrant chamber, preemptive sealing must be initiated. The mobile unit will start executing the received order immediately after the safety of the warrant is secured.
Journal. As the game story unfolds, you will see notifications at the top of the screen indicating that the status of your current objective has been updated and that new information has been added to your journal. You can open the journal by pressing J or clicking on the notification at the top of the screen. Journal entries help you keep track of current events and guide your character on their journey. The Quest tab tracks the progress of the main story. Here you can find information about any quests you have accepted and their current status. So standard urinal? Standard journal stuff. I can words. Through pain to greatness was the last line. Good grief. That is a massive scroll of text.
Yep. And if you move the camera around, look down back there, it just keeps fucking going.
Yeah.
Okay, so the warrant of trade given to rogue traders are literally like ancient relics.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that's kind of interesting about Warhammer 40k is, like, there is so much stuff in it that is literally just artifacts of from 10,000 years prior that weren't even like necessarily something super fancy and special by the standard of 10,000 years prior. But because of the way things went, what happened then and how long it's been since then and the stagnation and such, that's what they've developed into. Because it's kind of it's a post-apocalyptic setting where, you know, they're worshiping nukes and such that they don't understand what they are exactly. Except it's still a intergalactic sci-fi setting. And it's really fascinating.
Okay, I apologize, but I'm going to have to call it here because I'm fading.
Okay, let me seal the warrant chamber. And apparently
good job.
Break something.
Abelard.
Mistress? Whatever are you doing in the Warren Chamber? How did you... Throne preserve me! What is the meaning of this?
Kunrad Voitzvir is a traitor. When we parted ways on the officer's deck, he stunned me somehow and brought me here.
What?
He intended to take revenge on Theodora for something, and trying to reach the warrant was somehow part of that plan.
Oh, holy God, Emperor. I presume he is the one responsible for the mutiny. And, Mistress, I wish to remind you that you are to refer to the Lord Captain as Lady Theodora.
Voigtveer openly admitted that he is the mastermind behind. Voigtveer openly admitted that he is the mastermind behind the mutiny.
Saints' blood! And it is small wonder that the heretics are so well organized. I thought his order to seal the passages between decks was his attempt to stop the attackers from spreading to other levels. But now I see the real reason. It was to stop the enforcers from intervening. At least you are alive and now safe, Mistress. Alas, I doubt we can afford to look for a compartment to sit out this disaster. You're in a bad way. I can treat your wounds. I have a Medicaid kit with me. And for the love of the throne, now is not a good time to be walking around the decks without means of self-defense. Here.
He hands you a weapon. Items received: stub revolver, sword, armored body glove, medikit.
Throne's grace, where are you going? Until we bandage your wounds and you take up arms, I, with all due respect to the heir of Lady Theodora, will not let you out the door.
Treating injuries. While fighting, your character can lose some of their wounds. Your character has suffered an injury after being attacked by Kunrad. This happens when a character receives damage that exceeds 50% of their maximum wounds within one round. The exact percentage of wounds a character must lose for this happen may vary depending on the difficulty of the game you choose. Injuries reduce the character's resolve. When a character initially suffers an injury, it is considered a fresh injury during the first 3 rounds. Once 3 rounds pass, fresh injury becomes an old injury. A fresh injury can be healed using a medikit without passing any skill tests. Old injuries can be healed with a medikit, but they require the character administering the treatment to pass a medikit skill test to succeed. Use medikits to restore wounds and heal injuries. Note that when a character loses all of their wounds, they fall unconscious. Once a combat is over, the wounds of all party members are replenished automatically, but any injuries they may have sustained remain. Those can be healed with a medikit. Medikits can only be used by characters who have the Field Medic feature, base skill Medicaid, or have taken Medicaid skill advancement at least once. Whenever a character uses a Medikit in battle, a Medicaid skill test determines the number of wounds that will be restored as a result. Abelard can heal your character's injury. Okay. Inventory. You have gotten new items. All items are added to your inventory. To equip new weapons or armor, open your inventory on the item. To view the parameters of an item, hover your cursor over its icon and wait for the information window to appear. So I got the armor body glove, armor 15%. The character wearing the armor will dodge 45% of average enemy attacks in this chapter.
So what that is saying is essentially it's comparing the armor versus your stats. So you see that there's no actual dodge penalty for wearing it, so you yourself would normally dodge about 45% attacks on average in this chapter.
Okay.
So you can put that on for no dodge penalty, and you would get 15%
Until
armor.
we bandage your wounds and you take up arms, I, with all due respect to the heir of Lady Theodora, will not
and
let
you can equip the sword and the pistol both in a single weapon set, because they're both one-handed weapons. And you can use either one you want.
Nice.
Go to Abelard and just equip him with a
You
medkit.
are
He already
injured.
has one.
I must
And I
dress
think
your
it
wounds
stacks up to
before we
3,
go
so you
any
can just
further.
drop it into that stack of 2. Or maybe it stacks up to 2 and you have to drop in a different stack. Oh, it is a stack of 2 itself. Cool. Alright, so then you can select Abelard and have him use...
You are injured.
the medikit
I
on...
must dress your wounds before we go any further.
Turn the favor one day.
That is a noticeable improvement. Now you're prepared for the trials ahead. The lower decks are teeming with heretics instigating the rabble to revolt. But that is the least of our problems. The ship's enforcers are rounding up the scoundrels and suppressing the resistance. The situation on the middle decks is much worse, although strike teams have already been dispatched there. All communication with the bridge and the engineering bay was lost. So, apart from scattered voxcasts, we have no information to go on. But that is not the worst of it all. All these jolts and shaking are most alarming. These are signs that the navigator and the master helmsman are having difficulty translating the ship out of the warp and into real space. I fear that they may have already lost control. We must reach the navigator's sanctum and get a handle on the situation. If we can manage that, some aboard this vessel may yet survive.
I heard one of Theodora's voxcasts.
Lady Theodora's. Which one? The last one I received was about the navigator's sanctum, and that was a good while ago. In any case, let us hope that the Lord Captain is well and safely in charge of the ship's defense. In the meantime, we must do all we can to prevent the ship from veering off course.
How did you find me?
You sent me a Vox message. Specifically, a Voxcast on the officer's frequency, which I had the good fortune to receive. You mean to say you did no such thing?
I think the Warrant Sentinel may have sent that message. It appeared when I opened the chamber.
Warrant Sentinel? The Lord Captain barely ever ventures down to the chamber, and I was at her side only once or twice when she did. And I did not see anything of the sort. The Warrant Chamber is an ancient and rather sacred mechanism that the ship's tech priests treat with the utmost reverence. I assume that whatever it is that you did, you must have activated certain processes and caused the Sentinel to awaken. But then, why did none of it happen when Lady Theodora did the same?
What exactly has gone wrong with the translation?
I am no helmsman. Oh, God Emperor preserve me, navigator. However, I have spent my entire life aboard void ships equipped with warp drives, and I know that portents such as these do not bode well. It could be that the Geller field has faltered. Perhaps the navigator was struck down by warp corruption and is fighting for the last shreds of his humanity as we speak. If we get thrown off course, we will be forever lost in the warp. Naturally, we would likely not have long to live in that scenario. But I will not resign myself to such an outcome just yet.
What can we expect to find in the Navigator's Sanctum?
During warp transit, the Sanctum is closed to all who are not involved in traversing the Empyrean. And for good reason. For the Navigator to open their third eye and perceive the way, the Sanctum must be bathed in the energies of the Immaterium. Only a Navigator can withstand such an ordeal. For the rest of us, any contact with the warp is fraught with perils such as loss of sanity, spontaneous mutations, and death.
Imperium. Warp. An alternate dimension of pure energy and madness existing as a mirror to real space, also known as the Immaterium, the Imperium, the Aether, the Sea of Souls, or Warp Space. Makes me think of the Upside Down.
Worse.
The Navigator's Sanctum. Very well. Will you lead the way?
Absolutely. Let us proceed.
To arms, loyal sons and daughters of the God Emperor! Fight the heresy and corruption that threatens to consume our home!
The Lord Captain is calling her crew to battle, which means the Vox networks are set up for broadcast transmission, not message exchange. Splendid. While the rogue trader inspires proper resolve to fight in her subjects, you and I shall prove that her trust in us is well deserved. Onward!
I like Abelard. He's nice and loyal.
Oh, we've got combat. Tactical phase. Combat begins with the tactical phase, during which characters cannot attack or take other actions, but may try to take up advantageous positions. Select a character, then click on the cell you want the character to move to. Red cells are areas inaccessible to the character. During the tactical phase, each character in the party may move up to their maximum movement points, but cannot position themselves adjacent to an enemy. So it's kind of like the placement phase in like a game like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah.
Just we are starting in a place and moving somewhere in preparation for what we're going to be doing.
Yep. I'm going to the far left. There's no cover, so I'm trying to limit my exposure to the people on the right. Abelard is a good, solid melee tank. And you can normally only have like limited number of attacks per turn, like at this point one.
Mm-hmm.
But one way he can get around it is he can attack and then charge, and as part of a charge he gets another attack. That's why he was doing that in that combat earlier.
Ah. Should I put him up closer to the enemy or keep him back?
Up closer, but I would recommend to the sides. Like, essentially have him attack from the flank and work inward.
Like maybe here?
Yep.
Okay. Like he's someone you'll probably be controlling once we have more people.
Probably.
Friendly fire. Be careful, companions can get hurt by your burst attacks or area attacks. To avoid friendly fire, keep an eye on the trajectory of the shots in the area of effect of area attacks and melee burst attacks. Abelard's abilities. Your new companion is a warrior. Abelard specializes in melee combat and drawing the enemy's attacks. Charge is a unique warrior ability that works only when they are using a melee weapon and is not considered an attack action. Use charge to close the distance between you and the enemy and deal damage. If an enemy is in the direct path of charge, Abelard will attack them and will still be able to use an attack action afterward if he has not used one on this turn. Character is using a melee weapon. Melee attacks is... yeah. Melee attacks hit automatically with no need for a roll. The enemy will try to dodge and parry the attack if they are using a melee weapon of their own.
Yep.
Melee weapons can be used to make area attacks. All creatures in the area will suffer damage unless they succeeded on a dodge test or a parry test if they are under the melee weapon. Damage dealt by melee weapons depends on the weapon's parameters and the attacker's strength score.
I recommend Cleave.
Yeah.
At your beck and call, like the aftermath of an
Yep.
strike.
Welcome to Abelard. So he has... Brace for Impact might be worth using. It doesn't cost any AP, but it's only once for combat. Can you charge that guy up there?
No.
No. And that guy's probably too close, I assume. Yeah.
Oh, it needs to be done before the attack action because he does need to have movement points.
No, he doesn't need to have movement points.
It says...
Okay, in order to get into position, you would need...
it spends all movement points.
Yeah, it spends all movement points. But once you use your normal attack...
Yeah, he goes in a straight line and there's not...
Yeah. So a way to think about this is in, I think, 40k, like the miniatures, the attack phase comes after movement. So because of that, you can move or attack in whatever order you feel like, but once you actually move, or once you actually attack, your movement points are zeroed out. This is bad for me.
Chaos guides me.
I think I'm hosed. I mean, I can move to provoke 2 attacks of opportunity. Sure.
I will take all of you with me.
Ow.
You didn't stand a chance.
Combat abilities differ depending on their archetype. I gave you a little more HP.
Yeah.
On it.
Try and put a pot shot into the guy to my left.
I am ready for whatever comes. I'll see to it personally.
There you go.
Thank you.
I would have tried to heal you with the med kit, but we gave those all to Abelard, or whatever his name is. Can I just start calling him Adelaide?
So medkits are not really used for like in combat healing that much.
But they can be.
They can be, but it's better to A, not be hit, B, have armor and deflection to tank it, and then C, rely on temp HP. We have none of those. You can like move here and melee attack the guy and then charge the other one.
I need 2 free cells between me and the target.
Right, if you're... Is there any way you can melee attack that cutthroat next to you from where you're at? Like, will cleave let you do it?
I mean, the one directly next to me, I can. But the other one...
Yeah.
I can't.
Hit the guy that's directly next to you. And then you can...
Victory is one fewer target.
Charge the other one.
I serve the ruinous powers.
And he tried to move away.
Experience points. You can advance the level of your character and companions. Prevailing in battles, exploring the Coronis expanse, and complete blah blah. Each level gained offers your character new progression options, which include new abilities, talents, skill improvements, and other enhancements. Your companions gain new levels at the same time as your character. Even if they are not included in the active party during your journeys, you can always increase their level later. We leveled up. Is there ability to respec your characters?
I think so. Let me see. So you can respec them, but you cannot change their homeworld, origin, or starting archetype and class.
Okay.
So you cannot spec out of being a noble.
Mm.
Okay, can you do me a favor and save right now, and then work on leveling up after that? Because I'm just going to dip out now, because I'm falling asleep.
Game save.
Thank you. Good night.
We can figure out what I do for my leveling stuff. Like at some point, when not streaming before next Sunday. That way, I have time to figure things out, and I can ask you questions and such.
Good night.
Good night.